Good evening. We do not yet have a quorum to start our public meeting, so
Recording in progress.
we don't yet have a quorum to start our meeting. So we're going to officially start the meeting and open it, but we will start with an informational session for board members and town administrator that are present in regards to the Arlington Special Water Department meeting. I can't call it to order though, because you don't have enough.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't think so either. This doesn't happen very often, so I apologize. Josh, do you want to give us just some informational?
I can give you a rundown
where we're at.
Yeah. So the first thing I'll say is I got a grant through the state of Vermont for 2.5 days of leak detection. And over the course of that, the individual found 11 leaks, totaling to what he believes equates to almost 67,000 gallons per day and total. So he highlighted all of them for me, with some more urgent than others. So I kind of have a list of what needs to get done first. So start chipping away at those.
Are they midline or are they more at junctions and curb stop?
A little bit everywhere.
Okay.
Curb stops, main lines, service lines, a little bit everywhere. And if you see blue markings, square boxes, that's where he's detected leaks. A lot in East Arlington, and some down 313. And then the other ones are just kind of sporadically spread out. So
do they still walk it all manually with the little listening device, or do they have it on?
So a bunch of technology there, basically hooking up sounding devices on hydrants and then listening for noise. And then going through with other technology to kind of pinpoint that. So that was a good thing for us. And yes.
Do you want to update us on where you're at with regards to making progress with past dues?
Yep. So we sent out notification to all of the individuals over 120 days on the age receivable report. And they had 30 days to comply, to set up an agreement and or pay in full. Tomorrow is the last day for that. So far we have dropped 28 accounts and collected almost $11,000 for over 120 days, and then collected a little over 20,000 for the total. So I would say we're on a good pace for that. And then we have 8 new people on a payment plan as well. And so after tomorrow, be kind of going more or less door to door, reaching out to people the rest of the week and the beginning of next. And then moving from there, we kind of talked about sending select individuals to collections to handle some of the estates and some of the other accounts. And we kind of have one that we would like to pick and get associated with, and just have the option to send people there as needed. More or less a last resort for sure. But obviously we can't.
Yeah, we can't make a decision on that since we haven't officially opened the meeting, but we did go out for RFP. We found there are 3 companies that responded. None of them have minimums. They charge a contingency fee. So, when we do have quorum, it would be my recommendation that we get set up with a service. And, there's as much as they can do it in as little as 2 days, there is a lot to be said for giving everybody 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get everything built out properly. It gives us a little bit of time to get our templates and our pivot tables set up for data export. And then we can send, since there are no minimums, we can send 2, 3, 4 and just be set up with it, because I do know that you've done a phenomenal job, but it's also taken a considerable amount of your time to get the receivables in. And it's super appreciated from the fact that, I mean, we've pulled in 20K of that past due balance, which is really, really helpful in our situation. So, but you've got 11 that leaks that, come up to a large amount of water that we're losing. And so in my mind, and in my opinion, your payroll dollars are better spent focused on working on those big boulder projects, if you will. And we have a partner in our back pocket that we can use for receivables, which are incredibly important, but payroll dollar wise and system reliability wise, we need to focus, my opinion, you need to focus your time on that. So once we get quorum, we can talk a little bit more about that and make a decision, or we could postpone this to next week as well if we had to. Not next week, 2 weeks from today, next meeting. Too many meetings on my mind. Okay, was there any other informational? No. I have not heard from Glenn. I have not heard from Dan.
Yeah, I don't. Thanks, a question.
Go right ahead.
What you just said was people have been coming around to check the leaks.
Correct.
Right. My wife was indisposed and somebody knocked on her door today, and then she looked out and she saw some guy with a hard hat and vest. Are those you guys?
No, they were done last week,
Okay.
so no.
Just want to know if that's who it is. He didn't stick around. He just knocked and went next door.
Sure.
And kept on going. But
Maybe he's trying to sell the internet.
I was trying to sell me power tools. The other question was, Josh, you said that something about tomorrow's last day. That's for those who you've already contacted and who are already on your agenda, last day.
Yep, so when we originally sent out the pink paper, this said the 30 days, tomorrow would be the last day. And I'm certainly gonna be talking to people and finalizing payment plans if needed. And if not totals by the end of the week, and then moving forward to alternatives after that.
I spoke with you today.
Yes,
My date, my letter has the 11th as the date,
correct.
and today's the 7th.
The
8th, today's the 8th. So 30 days would be tomorrow, the 9th.
Probably how that worked out.
Yeah, I
Count the
believe
11th.
so. It's at least, it's sometime this week.
Yeah, I put it on my calendar, and I have it down like, if not the 11th, then
Sure.
depending on how you count the days.
That's why I was given till kind of more or less the end of this week to
Okay,
get everybody in
Just
line
sort
that
of-
wants to do that.
I got it marked wrong on my calendar.
For sure.
Great.
Yeah, Wednesday would be 30 days from the 11th, if you count.
Yes.
And the ruling is slightly ambiguous as to whether they're business days
Yeah,
or not,
This is.
but we're not hard and,
It says from the date on the letter, so we.
Yeah.
probably knew, so.
but is it business
Yeah,
days or
well,
isn't
You
it?
just clarified it, that, this week,
Yeah.
I told him I'd be in this week. So.
Yeah. No, I think we're good, and we're not, there is a whole process that's involved in further actions.
Yeah, and if people have communication and reached out with me, it's a little different scenario as well.
Yep.
So,
Just
Absolutely.
won't change my calendar.
Does anybody else have any questions for the water department while we're here? I apologize that,
Oh, then, if that wasn't the guy that came to my house today, what will your guys look like that were looking for leaks? Do they have a?
it was just one gentleman and it was only 2.5 days that we got a grant for.
Oh,
They were,
And he was out at the road, he wasn't.
yeah, no, he wasn't, a very few unless he heard something like bat and killing, he was down there.
Because he could hear what you already aware of.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
all right.
So, but no, other than that, he was really just sticking to kind of the mains.
It's a considerable amount of-
Yeah,
Are they primarily in older service area locations that we haven't replaced?
mostly in East Arlington, there's a
Okay.
lot,
Really?
and some kind of clustered together.
Huh.
Yeah,
What was the number?
11 total.
11 total?
Yep.
Weeks?
That's a significant amount. I mean, that adds to power and all sorts of.
Yeah, that's unaccounted for water,
Power, chlorine, everything,
Everything that was.
everything.
all the
That's
consumables.
a lot of extra water a year.
Yep.
So,
What was it, gallons per day?
67,000.
That's what I wrote. I just wanna make sure.
67,000 gallons per day. Yep,
Yeah, that's a lot of water.
yes. And of course, that's an estimate, but,
Where is it going?
into the ground, all over, yes.
Could it then be going into the Batten Kilns? So
Portion
all
of
these
it could be.
chemicals that you've got in the water are going into our.
Well, by the time it makes it there, the little bit of chlorine that we put into the water would
Long gone.
be long gone.
Okay,
Because
good.
it's
Yeah.
going through the ground,
Going
so
through
the
the
ground is
earth.
filtering it.
Could it be going into my water? My source of water?
Where do you live?
I live on 330. Okay.
Not even close to you. No.
Yeah, so the chlorine level's negligible, really, by
We
the time
run-
it gets.
Yeah, we run a really low chlorine level.
Thank you.
It would
So-
run at natural filtering through the earth that. Through the soil.
Yeah, and it stops right at West Mountain, so.
I mean, it's going back to where it came from. It's just, we're pumping it to put it right back.
Yes.
There's not much more we can do there then.
No,
Just ask
that's,
questions or move on.
no,
to
there's like nothing,
Select board
That's
and
about that.
take information.
we can, revisit this next meeting.
Sure.
Keep up the good work. I really
Yep,
appreciate
Good
you,
job.
on top of this, and
Yeah.
let me know if you need help with any of this.
We'll do.
or anything.
And I guess it's a good thing to stretch this out a little bit, because then it'll be a better time for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then we've got to set, you know, what we can do is when we reconvene in 2 weeks on this, we can come back with, if you want to make a set recommendation of like, let's say 10 that
List.
we may want to send or wherever you end up.
Yep.
Okay?
That sounds
And then
good.
we can just nail it all out at once.
Sounds good.
Appreciate.
Can I just ask something? In terms of the collection, it is true though that with the problematic accounts, the collection agency could contact people, but they have to come back to Josh to put a lien or to, shut off the water.
Right, they can, because so with an outside agency, they would do everything up to the point where Josh has to post on the door
Okay.
of the premise
Okay.
before turning the water off. He would physically have to do water shut off,
Right.
obviously. And then they will file the paperwork with the clerk's office.
Okay, so they can take some of the burden off.
They
of
can
him on
take
that.
some of that burden off to get that paperwork.
And some
to
of the
clerk's
estates,
office.
I think at least one of the estates, the water's already turned off.
It's already turned off.
So
We just need
I would
to.
wonder, I don't know if we should go straight to the lien or still go through the collection. They still might be able to do something.
They
if
may
we
because
don't.
it's an estate.
I mean, it'd be
they'll do
worth
the
trying, you know.
Tracing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
okay, I just wanted to,
something would be
sure I
better than
understood.
nothing.
yes, yes.
So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, we have a number of avenues and I really think the main goal is to get some of the burden off you, but you have done a phenomenal job, in my opinion,
Well, thank you.
to date. I mean, in basically 4 weeks, 20K in 4 weeks is a pretty good run rate.
Not too bad.
So, not bad at all. Thank you for your time this evening. Sorry, we
No
didn't
problem.
complete everything. We keep getting more and more people and
Got the certain people that we particularly want.
yeah, I know. I keep
It's
hoping.
gonna be informational only. We don't have quorum, so it's gonna be informational only.
Yeah,
Problems.
it is disappointing for all of us. So we're working.
Matt, could I just tell you that I do have a matter concerning the highway department and the town of Sunderland, and I believe this is something that I could have probably approved myself as town administrator, but I wanted to consult the board. And I would, but it's time sensitive, and so if we could start the informational meeting for the select board, and I
Sure.
would discuss that and get the sense of the members that are here, and then I can let Sunderland know, our situation, if that's.
Okay, let's do that. Let me just step out and call Glenn, see if I can get him to join on the phone.
No.
Glenn, can you hear me?
I can, yep.
All right, well, you keep trying to get in on Zoom,
Yeah.
and then you can just hang up if that
Oh, wait, here
happens.
he is, here, I see him, I see him.
I think, she's got you. Hold on. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Glenn.
Sorry.
Thanks.
All right. Glenn, can you unmute and just make sure you can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah,
Sorry
thank you.
for the-
Sorry about that.
Sorry for the fire drill. All right, so we now have quorum, so we will call the meeting of the Arlington Select Board to order this evening. Our first order of business would be any additions or deletions from the agenda. I don't think there was any.
The other thing is that I didn't, know that the fire department had something, so I didn't put the fire department on the agenda, but they do have something to discuss with us. So we could do it under other business or at any time, as appropriate at the board's discretion, but I do have the fire department.
Let's do them at 4.5 after public comments. If that's okay, before highway department.
Well, the only thing is I do have this highway issue that I need to discuss and be able to contact Sunderland.
Do we need to do that before we talk to the fire department?
I would like to be able to let Sunderland know.
Okay, so we'll move them, so, move it to 5.5?
Yeah.
Got it, thank you. So I would seek a motion to add the fire department to our agenda at line item 5.5.
So moved.
Glenn, are you seconding? We'll give you a pass on the technology, Glenn.
Second,
Yeah.
Motion by Jamie and second by Glenn to add the fire department to item 5.5 on the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Motion passes. All right, meeting minutes of the previous meeting, on August 18th, 2025.
Make a motion to accept as written for the August 2025 meeting.
Second,
A motion by Jamie to, accept the August 18th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented, seconded by Glenn. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And these are-
Okay, thank you. All right, motion passes, so we have approved meeting minutes. Brings us to line item number 4 on our agenda this evening, which is public comments. So this is the opportunity for any member of the public to speak on an item that is not already warned on the agenda.
I just was wondering what happened. Nick was looking into this a while back about making 313 40 miles an hour all the way up through, past Sandgate Road. And, I was at a gathering of people on the bridge last night, and one of them who put in a petition quite a while ago hasn't heard. And so I'm trying to hear what, what that might be, but is that anywhere in your,
So that was turned into the state because it's a state highway. They have to do their traffic study.
Oh,
And it comes
okay.
back to them. We have no timeline on how soon
so
they
you
do that
haven't, we
stuff.
haven't heard at all?
We have not heard of it.
Okay, all right, that's good to
Yep.
know.
So,
Thanks very much.
yeah, anything like that on the state highways, it can take a long time for them to get back.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other public comments? I don't think there's any
I
extra.
can repeat that.
Go right ahead.
It's not, living on East Arlington Road for the last 20 plus years. Now there are at least 6 or more families with little children. So this is just, I don't know when it should be addressed, but I addressed it with Nick a year and a half ago or whatever. We discussed it and that went nowhere. What's the possibility of fixing where the 25-mile-an-hour signs are that are supposed to be visible and that will let anybody know that you're not supposed to be going over 25 miles an hour on that road in either direction?
Oh, the electronic sign, the electronic speed sign or?
Regular signs that are,
Okay.
screwed into the post. I met with Nick personally because I brought it up to him. Must have been a year and a half or 2 years ago. And it was like, he'll look into it and we'll look into it. And then I just see that they have the electronic sign by the school. They actually had one on my, they had one on my, one of the poles that are in front of my house for a while, and the big thing right near my driveway. It was like I couldn't even see around it. But, so I asked him about that, and I was willing to, for nothing, just tag where every sign was on that road and have a discussion with him about how to improve the visibility of the signs. Some of them are like, you can't even see them until you get on top. And with a lot of new people in town, they may not know. I mean, the kids, the people that are in my neighborhood, on my side of the street, everybody has kids now. They all have kids. And I'm just, when I moved in, there were no kids. So it's an issue now that I'm wondering, how do I go about presenting it to the board now, since Nick is
Well, you
not
just
here.
did, Steve, so,
did
and we can make a recommendation to this, highway crew to go out and cut the brush back in front of them so that they're more visible.
That's what I was thinking.
It's not, I went over this, like I said, with Nick, and I'm
Yep.
like, I'm waiting, and I get, so anyway. I'm still willing to give my time and effort in mapping out where the signs are now. And how I feel, having been working in the design drafting field for my whole life, know pretty much where, what I see as the signs are just not in the right place. You won't see them. It's not brush or anything. They just are, you have to come around the corner and, oh, there's a 25-mile-an-hour sign. Anybody who's local, who's been here and has gone to school here and has been here forever, not like me, they know how fast to drive there. But there's a lot of traffic.
They may not drive as fast. They know, but they may drive faster.
That's true too. And I've got ways of I walk my dog and I give him the sign. And someone just go, hey, peace. And they go,
Let me give you another.
just, you know.
I was gonna say, it's better
But it's really, it's a safety issue now more than ever. You know, and I just talked to a woman who moved in 2 doors down. She's got a 1-year-old, or not even a 1-year, you know. And she said to me, I'm not letting him play in the front yard at all. These people are just crazy over here driving down the street.
I appreciate that. And I think, Jamie, isn't
So,
there's some
There's state
standards?
standards that we have to abide by, and they actually come through town and they tell us where the main signs have got to go.
And that's why I talked to.
And that's
That's what I. told
pretty much
Greg, and I
where
said,
they are, where is what we've been doing.
But I think help
Um,
you, help me, help you, you know, it's like.
Yep.
we're-
No, they,
We could have Mark just review those
Absolutely.
from the highway.
Yep.
Cynthia, maybe you and can get together with Mark and just ask him to review those to start and review the state standard to make sure that we're at least meeting that to start, and then we could go from there.
Right, no, it's, I know how long the process will take,
I
so.
get it, and I apologize.
Because school has started already, and then, you know, I didn't have time to do anything in the last couple, actually since November of last year, but. I'm now freed up, and I'm gonna just, you know, continue to walk on the street and maybe put up 2-5. Yeah. But, you know, it is, they don't even know sign language, you know, 2-5.
I think our best bet there is
I
to
got
start
ideas.
with Mark and the
Yep.
standards and just have them
Yep.
review those.
Yep.
Go from there.
Go this way. You guys all set? Yeah.
And that is just thank you for reminding that if everyone, please make sure that you've signed in. Any other public comments this evening? Duly additions? Anything not on the agenda? Okay, I'm not hearing any other public comments, so we'll move to line item 5, which is Highway Department project updates. It looks like we have a possible winter sand purchase as
Yes,
well.
and I gave you some information
Yeah.
about that from Mark. But I just would like to start with this question of Sunderland. What has happened in Sunderland is they were already down a highway crew member, and their highway chief has retired unexpectedly. So they are down to one crew member, and they have culverts they have to finish by the end of the month because of state grants. So Mark has consulted the highway crew members there, and they worked out a plan where Mark and the guys would go and put in the culverts tomorrow with him. And then on Wednesday, help him haul gravel to finish the project. So Tuesday and Wednesday, they would be working for Sunderland. And then when we need sand or gravel hauled in the future, or we need, you know, because what we're doing with this, like with White Creek, is we help them on something and then they'll help, and it might not be immediate, it might be a while, you know, we're not putting numbers on it, but I think it's really important for the towns to help each other. And if this happened to us, you know, you're trying to make the grant deadline. So I do feel that as town administrator, I could have approved this, but I also felt like because of the visibility, I didn't want you guys to be getting phone calls about why is the highway crew working in Sunderland, which I'm sure you would. But I think that we would so appreciate this help if we had a deadline like this in this situation. So I wanted to be able to get the board's approval of
Absolutely.
this.
I mean, they helped us on East Arlington Road with
That's
the
right.
2 culverts up there.
That's right, but it's 2 days and I felt I just needed to, but what it is I want to be able to go and call the
Sure.
select
Yep,
board chair and
absolutely.
tell them that it's all okay.
I don't see a problem, Glenn.
Okay.
Not at all, not at all.
And I don't see any problem either. And Cynthia, that would have been 100% within your
Absolutely.
purview. You know, if we weren't having a meeting this evening,
I would have
you shoot
contacted
an
somebody
email
about it
to
or
us
whatever.
and said,
Okay.
hey, we're
Okay.
doing that. But I think it's being a really good Vermont neighbor, so I don't have a
Okay.
problem with it either.
Okay, so I'm gonna go and just call him
You go
and you
do
guys
that.
can go ahead with the
We're
winter
gonna
sand. I
buy
hope
some
that-
sand maybe.
And I hope that, that is, what it is that they have different prices. This is all not
Mhm.
delivered, we're picking up.
Yeah.
They have different prices, comes out to the same amount, because Mark wants 50/50.
Okay.
But then, it's cheaper for us to go and pick it up at Peckham.
Well,
Because
they're closer.
because they're closer, because we're using our
So this
trucks.
is his
So
recommendation.
this is his recommendation.
Okay.
Yes, so if you wanna, proceed
Yep.
with that, and Janet has that information, so she knows how to.
Perfect. All right, so we have 2 quotes for winter sand for our much anticipated winter season coming up. The first is Wallingford crushed stone. And Highway Foreman Mark would like to do a 50-50 mix, as we've done, I believe, in past years, correct, Jamie?
Yes.
So Wallingford crushed stone had sand at $13.90 a ton and 3/8 inch stone at $16.90 a ton. We are looking at 1,500 tons of each. So with our transportation of said materials, Wallingford crushed stone comes in at 45,000 with a 50-50 sandstone mix for a total of 3,000 tons. And the second quote is Peckham, and they are offering 1,500 tons of sand at $12.50 a ton and 1,500 tons of 3/8 inch crushed stone at $17.50 a ton. And again, the 3,000 tonnage comes out to the same $45,000 net price in the end. Mark's recommendation is that we would proceed with making the 50-50 sand purchase from Peckham's as they are closer and there is less transportation cost. I would seek a motion for winter sand purchase.
I would make the motion to purchase the 50-50 winter sand from Peckham Industries for a total of $45,000.
Second.
Motion by Jamie and second by Glenn to purchase sand and stone in a 50-50 mix from Peckham Industries, 3,000 tons totaling $45,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll be getting sand from Peckham's this year.
Okay.
Was there anything else for the highway
Yeah,
department,
yes,
Cynthia?
just relatively briefly, the gentleman who we were interested in having work on the covered bridge, the big project, not the recent repairs that Jamie's been getting help with. He's so busy, he can't even put it on his plan for next year yet. He's gonna circle back to his schedule later in the month and I'll be in touch with them and he's gonna see if he can fit it in. But we didn't get any other responses to the bid that we posted in the usual places. So I think we should continue to work with him and try to get him to squeeze this in. But I just wanted to let the board know that that's where that is. That's why that hasn't moved. Mark and the crew completed a bank adjustment for the 7A sidewalk, which we hope will maybe happen sometime next year. But this is something the state wanted to do to increase the line of sight. It wasn't a big project, but it was a big deal because we had to close a line on 7A and everything, but they did a good job. It's reseeded. Things will be better there. I think that I can stop there. There are other things that we can discuss another time when Mark's here.
I have a question on highway, and I don't know if you know what is going on with Murray Hollow.
Murray Hollow was set to start and then, and they were gonna close the road while they were working on it because of the camps above there. And then they had, one of the camp owners objected to that. So the last I know, because water levels are so low, they were gonna try to figure out if they could figure out a way to use a ford or a workaround to keep the passage open during the project. But I don't know where that's the last I heard, that they were gonna continue to work on that. Otherwise they might have to give up and come back to the project next year. And I don't know what happened in terms of all of a sudden at the last minute, one of the camp owners was unhappy because that was what.
Murray Hollow,
Yeah.
right at the state line.
What happened in the state of emergency, so I gotta touch back to that guy again. Try to come up with some sort of plan. Don't know, trying to, how we could even.
Not going over Holly Mountain.
Not how we can even do anything. Only option that I thought in the top of my head, and that's why I have to reach back out to him, is maybe if it was I'm not sure if it's a day project or what. So I don't know how we can accommodate any of that. I haven't been able to figure it out yet. We can't park a truck up there and leave it for days,
No,
so,
I believe it's more like a 2-week project,
yeah.
Yeah.
which I'm still opposed to,
So, that's something you're gonna have to reach back out to him and, you know, as far as on our end, I don't foresee anything other than if something was to come in emergency, we could bomb through the woods in the side by side, and that's gonna be our only bet, right? I mean, our only chance. Other than that, there's nothing that we can provide for them.
but there's not a good trail system right there.
No, but I mean, you know, 8 trails, and by the time you get there, then it's gonna be too late anyways, but
You can go over back a bit and follow, but it takes quite a while.
Holly Mountain would be quicker,
Yeah, it would.
but you can't drive a regular vehicle. over it.
No.
No.
Um,
Okay.
I mean, I'll check back with Jacob and see what's going on, but that's the latest that I know about it.
Okay.
Anything else for highways?
Nope.
All right. 5-5, we're on to the fire department. What fine gentlemen have for us this evening.
so since you took care of one, we're gonna be purchasing tires for 7.6, which I had talked to you guys about earlier in the year. So I finally got the quote in. The other thing is starting to find where a lot of stuff you can find at a reasonable price offline, like anything you buy these days. And so we don't have accounts set or any of that. To go along with that, the pickup is a gas pickup, and the station that the town, you know, we have everything through. It's closed 2 days a week, and so we've been running into some stuff with training wise, and that where the pickup comes back and, you know, we can't refill it. So I know I talked to both of you two, Glenn's new at hearing this from me, but I think at some point, but I know it won't happen right away, but I think the town should look at some purchasing cards for, you know, the highway, for the head of departments and stuff, just so it makes that process a little bit easier. And you can set the amount to whatever you want, you know, we can spend up to a certain amount. So if you set it at that amount where, you know, what we can spend up before we have to get approved, I just think it would make stuff flow along a lot easier than trying to us going out, finding it. Now we got to pass it to somebody else who passes it to another person before we can use a credit card to purchase the thing. I just think it would help, especially the fire department, help us out because we don't see everybody on a day-to-day basis. Like if I, you know, was working at the town highway garage, I could drop down here during the day, right? Our schedules don't jive where I can get over here every day for my regular work, to try to purchase stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out, something you guys can start thinking about and, you know, maybe looking into and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think, I know a long time, it would be way back on my first round on the board, I looked into a P card program a little bit, so, that was ages ago now. And then it was gone and now I'm back. But, it's something that we can definitely, I think it warrants a little investigation as time goes on here in the next couple months and see what we come up with.
I think particularly for the fire
Fire
department, because of the
yeah.
nature of the situation. I mean, the highway guys, it's easier.
Highway, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
Josh, it's a little easier, but definitely for the fire department. So it's
Yeah.
something that we can, look into.
I just think that we need to be sure that it's got all the appropriate controls, because the auditors are gonna be on our.
Oh, yeah.
asses.
I mean,
And
now,
we-
when I talked to you, Matt, you had said about purchasing, and I'm not afraid to use the purchasing numbers. I use them in, you know, my day-to-day job. Where, you know, when it's assigned to a purchasing number, so it's easy to match back up. I mean,
Yep.
whatever we have to do there, just to make
Yeah,
stuff
there's
flow.
usually, I mean, you know, P card program kind of systems is you make your purchases on them. It usually asks you for a PO at, the terminal, but not always. And then you go in and code them and send them for approval, and there's checks and balances around that. And there's companies that have these specifically for municipal governments as well, so that they do address the intricacies of municipal government. So, and, you know, public sector. So I think it's something that we can look into in the future, and I can do a little bit of research. I can probably dig up. I'll have to go in my way back files to see what I have from, but that was a number of years ago. I'm sure things have changed. So, but I think it does warrant looking at, especially for fuel and those kind of sudden consumables that you may need as part of the fire department in the event of an emergency or anything.
And then lastly, I talked to you about this on Monday, but finding out, so we're at the point where we gotta buy Speedy Dry again, right? And so for a pallet of Speedy Dry is almost $1,000. And what I'm looking at is this is a non-returnable thing to us, right? So it's gonna come out of the fire department's new equipment line item, like, you know, budget line for stuff that we're gonna throw on the road, and then we're gonna throw in the trash, right? And I don't know how we can recoup that cost or something, but I think it's something that we should look into. We used to have billing a long time ago. I know we faded away from that. But on stuff like that, if we had a big incident, we could use that $1,000 up in a matter of time, you know, no time. And then that's another $1,000 out of a, you know, new equipment line item budget that we're throwing out again. And I just, to me, it doesn't settle right when you're looking at the whole budget, that we're wasting
It does
money
raise,
to it, you know.
it raises an interesting point around billing, primarily for what I would say automobile accident, those type of situations, because really the insurance company, when you bill them, the small payment that you do get from an insurance company is really designed to cover your, I'm going to call them consumable items. So like Speedy Dry is just a consumable item. You have to put it down, you have to sweep it up. I did do a little bit of research on billing, and I didn't bring my paperwork with me, but I'll connect with you on that. And what some other municipalities were doing around that. I think Wilmington has a policy on that, and some other municipalities.
Somewhere here, we should have a policy.
We did have
We
a
did it
policy
for a long
because
time.
We were
We did.
billing
We
insurance.
were, and then it just got dropped out somehow.
Well, and I don't know if it was that we were getting so little and it took so much
Well-
effort, I can't remember.
a lot of it was the time frame because motor vehicle accidents have to be gone through right off the bat.
Yeah.
They want all their claims in immediately. And we were not speedy enough on a lot of that to get
So
things
I might-
done and get things moving. So then we weren't getting any of the billing, but that was exactly one of the reasons that we
Yep.
went to the billing. We have the whole
So I-
procedure. And especially if it's considered a hazmat, that is a federal law that they have to pay.
Mhm.
So
We
if
can
you've
have-
got fluids on the ground,
Could we
that is a
dig out the
hazmat
policy?
incident.
Well, and also I'm thinking if we could have, did you eventually develop a template? And I mean, if we could have something where it was really easy to just go in and fill in the figures and then zoom, we get it to them. Because I understand, I mean, that this kind of record keeping is not,
I mean, that's why we used to collect insurance information on scene and names
yeah.
so that it could come down and be billed and
So let me ask this. Does
things weren't
the-
getting over here in time and such like. So that's
Right.
where a lot of it fell apart.
Okay.
So does the town office have to do the billing, or could a member of the fire department do the
So the
billing?
way the ordinance was written, and Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way the ordinance was written is it had to be built
Through
through
the
here.
town.
And I think the way it worked before, that went into the truck sinking.
It did.
So, if we were to relook at that, you know, it's not bad it's going in the truck sinking fund, but that doesn't help what we're trying to do here is like
No,
cover
but
the
what
cost
it
of.
did was it kept the money so that it didn't get turned over at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah,
So it went toward the purchase of something larger.
but if you started a sinking fund for consumables, like you said, you know, and I can just quick name off a couple of things you could use it for would be Speedy Dry and foam.
I don't
Right.
think you can do a sinking fund for consumables,
No, but we could-
capital equipment.
Put it in that line item and I mean,
find a way to offset or something.
consumables, you're gonna spend regardless. I mean, you need paper towels, which are a consumable, right? I would be interested if we can dig up the policy. I'd love to take a look at it too, and Brian, I could connect with you
Yes.
on that in the next 2 weeks. I might have some ideas floating around in the back of my head, and then we can put it on the agenda for the next
And give
meeting.
it a
There
try. Let's
should
try
be a
again.
whole
I
copy
mean,
of the ordinance
yeah.
here.
Okay. Maybe Cindy,
Everything.
can you, or
I'll
maybe
try.
Janet try and find it?
We'll try.
Okay,
We'll find-
that would be helpful.
Cause I think we need to try to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you're looking at, when we shrink down the budgets and everything to try to stay, and then, you know, you're buying the foam and the speedy dry is a lot to take out when we're trying to keep everybody with gear and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm. I've got some ideas in the back of my head, so
I appreciate it, and just let me know when you want me to go. That's all I
absolutely.
got.
Thanks, do you have anything to add?
No, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I try my best, you know? It's a little informal this evening because we got sidetracked and I wasn't planning to do this. Okay, so that I believe concludes anything else. I didn't, from the fire department, since they're on the agenda, I did attend the membership meeting, which was, I think that was last week I did that. It all runs together. So I think, you know, the fire department had a good turnout. Things sounded very positive. So I don't have my specific notes from that. I don't think there was anything specific to add. Oh, I did have one other question though, which I forgot to ask when I was at the meeting. Did you get the radio repeater yet?
The repeater has not come in yet because we're waiting on Motorola. So I have on my calendar to remind me, for this week to call out to them and do a check. So they said it could take anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. Motorola is, that's how it's, you
Are they
know,
doing just-in-time manufacturing?
yeah. I mean, so like we tried to order a radio a while back and that ended up taking us 9 weeks before we received.
You can buy better, but you can't pay more.
You know, so, and that was one thing when I got the budget today, you know, I was looking at the numbers and of course I forgot that it hadn't come out. We had already approved that, so I have to keep that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
You know, how much money that we thought would pay out for
Yeah.
that, so.
Okay,
But we still do have the loaner one, and the last time I talked to the guy, because we bought the repeater from him, the loaner one is not costing us anything. So, we still have a repeater in
Sure.
place and everything, so.
well, it's very nice of them to give us that loaner free of charge, so awesome. Keep us posted on that,
I will.
if there's anything I can do. I don't know if I know anybody over at Motorola these days.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Thank you for the fire department update. That brings us to line item 6, which is the Arlington Recreation Park. And there was some documents that Cynthia submitted in our board packets regarding that. And I know we have a number of people here regarding this conversation as well, right?
No, I think they're about the planning.
Oh,
commission.
they're planning
Oh,
commission. Okay, Willie's here. Willie's here for the rec park. Sod?
You ready?
Yep.
Sod tomorrow. We'll have boreholes in by the afternoon. Shane and I worked on that all day today to get them straightened out, ready to go. It took a little bit more than what we thought. But they're good to go. And we had a little issue on Friday night at the park during the game. The septic system backed up. And, yeah, it filled the men's room full. But the tank was just pumped in the spring. And the guy showed up yesterday morning to do that. And I let Cynthia know that I was there. And, I think we're gonna have to spend a little bit of money, not much, but I have them scope the line, see what's going on. It shouldn't be continuously doing this. I mean, it's twice in less than 6 months that it's plugged up and come back in through the drains.
Was the plug between like the building and the tank?
yeah, well, not 100%, because the women's room could still go down, but it was, when I went in there at 8:30 Friday night, it was up to the top of the seats. So it's, something's getting caught through there somewheres. So yeah, you know, the guy was there yesterday pumping it out and he goes, yeah, you better, you know, have it inspected. The line check, if that goes into that amount, we're probably gonna have some bigger problems, hopefully not, but. He did suggest maybe pump the tank out again, even though it was just done. There's some other stuff that's going on, and we are working on that with cameras. So
Mhm.
I think there's some excess stuff going into.
Things may be being put into the system that shouldn't be put in it.
Gotcha, understood that.
That would be good to have that done.
Do we have signs specifically in the rooms stating that certain items shouldn't go down?
No, we don't
the
have
commode?
have a sign, so we should get something put up, but it's gonna come down to
Okay,
a little more security, I think, that.
okay. Well, I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yep.
I'll come
Yep.
down and help you with the cameras on Wednesday and,
Good.
our Cynthia, that's something that we can work with you
Yeah, like
on
if
to
we
just
need
get,
to-
I think we should probably have that line at least scoped to see, wouldn't
Absolutely.
you agree? Like if it's collapsed or
So,
there's roots in it or
with,
something?
With, another game this Friday night.
Yeah.
And then we're going into tournament week,
Right.
which it is going to get a tremendous amount of.
It's where.
Yeah, we should, is that, who, does the
All out.
septic company do that? Will they scope it?
Yeah, all out.
Yeah. Problem is that they're all on vacation in Florida right
Yeah,
now, so the
yeah.
mechanic showed up yesterday to do business. So, yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is that with the usage at the park, we need to get a couple porta potties there temporary, just in case.
I would just get one maybe, and,
One on either end of the building,
yeah, I mean.
one for the women, one for the men.
Yeah.
Smart move, especially with the.
Yep,
Tournament.
tournament next week.
Something happened, I mean, we had to shut them down.
Yeah, is this, I mean, I'm in favor of that. Glenn, are you in favor of that?
Yeah, absolutely, because the park's gonna get used quite a little bit next week with, I mean, there's games pretty much
Two
all week.
games every night.
Yeah, so I think the sense of the board is that we get at least 2 porta potties and have the line scoped. So if you can work with
Yeah.
the provider
Is that
and
something
Cynthia.
you wanna do or
Yeah,
you, okay,
I'll
if
call.
you need my help, you let me know.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Willie.
And those are the handicap ones they put in, right? The
Yes,
bigger ones.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, and all the new stalls are, installed.
Oh,
in the
sweet.
bathrooms.
And floating.
All done.
Well, now you get to wash them all again.
Garden rolls.
Yeah, at least it's all hard surfaces and it can go out. It's
Yeah.
designed that way with the,
Yeah.
because we have the wall, the waterproof wall board, right?
No,
No.
never got that for us.
We didn't get that far.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Another year.
another year.
Okay.
So before we move on from
Yeah.
Rec Park, we had Pete Janellis down, or up from Bennington. Pete does all the baseball fields, softball fields, everything in Bennington, Williamstown, North Adams. He looked at our softball field up here. We are out of dimension over 10 feet. Mhm. So by the time everything got squared up, the foul line is off by more than 10 feet. On the,
It's a little bit
right
out of
field
the
side.
margin of error, isn't it? 10
It-
feet's quite a bit.
It's a long ways. On top of that, the entire infield needs more of the red gravel that the school purchased, and we will be purchasing more than that. But the sod area where the infield and outfield meet needs to be completely rebuilt and done over. With the soil, the clay and stuff, and putting new bases in, squaring everything, putting everything back where it's supposed to be. Cynthia, I sent that to you.
Yep.
correct? It was about $16,500.
Right, I didn't, prepare that, I thought we
Yeah.
would have, have a conceptual discussion, because we haven't
Yep,
really
so I just
fleshed
need it out there
No,
so that
I
we
wanted,
can.
I was gonna do this if you
Yep.
didn't, so no, this is really good. But we need to like flesh out the whole project, exactly what needs to be done and what it costs.
Right,
and then
which
think
he gave
about-
us gave me a
Right,
full quote description.
Yeah.
Which I forwarded to Cynthia, but,
Yeah. But we need to think about
so,
Project plan.
when we would try to do it and how we would try to pay for it.
right. So he would, to be prepared for the spring season, he would like to go this fall and get it done. The school is, we have talked about purchasing 2 more loads of the red clay to go in there. He will bring all of his machinery in. That includes everything brought in, taken care of. That also includes the 2 loads of soil, which will be a little over $4,000. So deduct that out of there and that drops it down to about 12, but, 12.5, something like that. But, there is a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done there. We didn't even get into depth on the baseball field, but that's another whole story. And, right now, the softball is the most important one to get back up and running.
So next steps on that is that for,
So I didn't know if the board wanted me to approach the, park committee again to see if they would be willing to help with any more of that. I mean, they're doing the golf course. They're
well, I think it would
reimbursing us
be,
for the golf course.
I think before we could, even if we wanted to entertain that, we need a project plan that's kind of like written out and exactly what
I
we're gonna
could sketch
do.
something
and-
up
yeah.
and share it with Jamie, and then he can fill things in, so that he doesn't have to try to
Yeah.
do that, because I can totally do that. And, we can look at our budget but
Yeah.
it's very important, I think, to finish the golf course and get that reimbursed, it's
Yep.
very important. I understand the thing about the
Well, that's in
spring
flight.
preparation, but that's,
Yep,
that's in
that's-
process.
That's really
so-
coming to an end here pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then,
And I mean, as far as, I don't know what, the board would think, but if you wanted to talk to anybody informally, maybe that would be fine. I think that this is a really important investment in those playing fields, which we want to provide the school. I just don't know what kind of a pattern they want to do in terms of the grants. Because I think it's up to 16,000 for the
right,
sod, and this would be another 12,000, and I just don't even know if they would contribute that.
but
Yeah, I
it's worth a
think it's
conversation.
worth a
It's up,
conversation.
it's up to you, but if you
I
think
go
it
to their
makes sense,
meetings every once in a while,
Then-
so,
then I would do that and make it clear how urgent it is to have this in regulation shape, so. to speak.
yes.
And I think we get a plan kind of sketched out
Absolutely.
and then also look
Absolutely.
at our budget and what the school's contributing and let's see what we can come up there a little bit more formally and maybe you have an
Yep.
informal conversation.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, excellent.
I think you answered all my questions that I was gonna have, so, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Anybody have anything else for the park? Glenn, do you have anything else to add?
I do not. I was just gonna bring up the all out again, but you guys already took care of that, so.
Portalets and scope the line.
Yep.
Sounds exciting. I will not be there to help with that.
Big weekend.
That's above my pay grade.
And then Matt, I thought, why don't we skip the town hall repair report? We can do that later.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm
Fine, and there isn't really much. You're working with the handyman on that anyways.
No,
right?
it's been done.
Okay,
It's,
we'll,
But
we'll
I
move,
just had a couple of things to report, but let's go ahead and.
we'll move
on.
that down to other business this evening. Repairs, and so we'll move on to line item 8, new business and 8.1, which is the hazard mitigation plan, the BCRC report, and I think Dara, you're here with that.
And, she wants me to share her presentation.
You
So I'm
have it
gonna
on your
plug this thing,
computer?
I have the presentation up.
You can
just. And if they can just. So.
Here's a paper copy of the plan. Jamie, I don't know if
Sharing this.
you want it or not, or that can flip through it or whatever. All right, I'm coming around. I've got long arms, but they're not that.
I thought they were gonna get lost.
And maybe it's a little more energy so.
Oh, awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's powerful, you know, it's out through it, right? Okay. Yeah, and I,
No, it should be.
what do you think?
Slideshow. Oh, stop it.
Oh, see, now that's going on. Yeah, oh, there you go.
You just want to go to.
Yeah, just present, whatever the easiest way is to get there. Give it a second.
Oh, no, then I need to.
I'll share it, I'm sure. There we go. Beautiful. Let's make sure the right one comes up on the screen. Yeah, look at that. Okay.
Like you use them when I do.
I don't know, Matt. That was.
I don't know, I
faster
printed your
than I
draft
could've.
report and then I didn't double side it, so.
And then if
it's
I
like-
enter-
Oh, no.
I enter and it advances or?
Just
Yeah,
the
do you
right
want me to
arrow.
hit the buttons? I can talk and hit.
No. I
Just
mean,
right
or do
arrow.
you wanna just tell me or?
Yeah,
or-
I'll say
Okay.
next, where I can beep, remember the books with the beep?
No.
Okay.
The film set, right? The little cassette tape for
Yeah, the
film
little
strip?
cassette tape, okay. I'm dating myself. Okay, so most people know me, but I'm Dara Zink and I'm from Benton County Regional Commission. I am here again, to talk about the hazard mitigation plan update that we've been working on. And I am here to announce that it's open for public comment. Everyone can come read it, but let me give you some background. Next.
It's right here,
There.
right here.
There you go. There we go. Okay, I got it. As we start to wind down the work that has been completed on this plan, I want to acknowledge all of the hard work, time, and thoughtfulness that the planning team members have put into this project. Alexandra Ernst, Marianne Holmes, and Garrett Siegel are all members of both the Planning Commission and the Energy Committee. Michael Murno also sits on the Planning Committee, and Eleanor Murno joined us with her perspective as a town resident, and Nick Zias was the town administrator at the beginning and remained on the team within his role as the emergency management director. And I didn't stick myself on there, but I was just the facilitator of the process. Next. I also wanted to note that community stakeholders, leaders, and residents have all provided their input. Oh, that's
Back
okay.
one.
Very simple.
There, yes, have all provided their input and provided information needed to draft this plan. 44 individuals responded to the survey and 6 individuals attended the public feedback meeting. The road foreman and the chief of Arlington Fire Department also spent time providing valuable feedback for the group. I've already visited the select board previously, so tonight I'm just going to kind of give a brief timeline of the work that we've done, the work that is yet to do. We started last August. On the 19th with the select board meeting, we did a kickoff meeting at that time announcing that this is the work that we're going to do. The first planning team meeting was held September 27th, where we all came together and we decided how we were going to do public outreach. And we developed a public survey and we decided to hold a public meeting. So the survey was live from October 21st to November 22nd. And on November 13th, we held our public meeting here at the town office. And we had some maps up and we had some charts and they're all found in the appendix of the plan if you're curious about what we were working on that night. And then over the winter and through summer of 2025, we had working meetings of the planning team. We met in person. We did a lot of stuff via email, a lot of back and forth. It was a great process. And I lost a piece of my square there. But that was the July 7th Select Board meeting, where we presented the mitigation actions that the planning team had chosen. And at that time, the Select Board said, hey, give us, like 3 top priorities. And so that's what we did. We gave them 3 top priorities, and then there are 29 mitigation actions. So I'll talk about those in a minute. But we did then prioritize the very high priority and the high priority, medium priority, and low priority ones within the plan. Tonight is September 8th. It's open for public comment. I will tell you where you can find that. And then on October, we will close public comment, on September 22nd. So get any information back to me by then. By October 3rd, we will have that submitted to VEM, which is Vermont Emergency Management. They are the ones that review it and tell me if we've met all the FEMA requirements for these plans. And so we have a little back and forth, and we get the plan in good shape to meet FEMA. And then we get something called an approval pending adoption from VEM. And then we come to the board and we say, yay, they said we've done it good. And then we ask the board to adopt it at that meeting. And so how long that will take, it depends. So Vermont Emergency Management received a bunch of funds late last year for the floods in 23 and 24. And what that meant is that they needed to give these funds away, but everybody needed to have a hazard mitigation plan in place to get those funds. So it left a bunch of towns scrambling. And so they've been inundated with hazard mitigation plans. So the time frame for their review has stretched out a little bit. So I'm not quite sure. It could take anything from 3 weeks to 6 months. So we just kind of, coax them along, and they get back to us as soon as possible.
But we have the plan anyway. We know what we would do.
The plan would be in place. So just a quick refresher, the planning team reviewed all of the hazards in the 2019 plan. And this time FEMA is allowing these plans to be more town specific. So in the past, there was like this whole set of hazards you had to address, and like an earthquake up here, yeah, we kind of feel them, but they're not really, top priority. But we had knock on wood. Now something's gonna happen. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. You string me up at the record. My cross-country kids can kick me as they go by. So that we're allowed now to make these plans so much more town specific. So we don't have to just kind of address all of these kind of random feeling hazards, and we can pick the ones that impact the town the most. So these are the ones that the planning team focused on. Next. And then for those hazards, this is kind of the bread and butter of the plan. This is what the select board and the EMD will be looking at over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Are these actions that we came up with. And I believe the 2019 plan was around 50 actions, and we've whittled them down to be more specific with 29. So a lot of the actions were very broad, kind of didn't maybe really fit in with Arlington's needs. So we really brought them down. You're not going to be able to read this. If you are, your glasses are great. I am super impressed. But these aren't all of them. I just screenshotted the beginning of the plan. This is page 98, table 30. That's when it starts. And so you guys can, if you want to zoom in right on those, when you pull up the plan, you can do that if that's what you're curious about. And then I think we are on next. Okay, so actually just hold that. The thing with the mitigation actions is that these plans are not static plans anymore. FEMA now allows them to be more of like a living document. And so every year, the EMD and the select board, as you're heading into budget season, should kind of look at that plan and review it and say, okay, what have we done? Let's check those off. Great. We don't need to carry those forward anymore. What's coming up for the next year that maybe we can prioritize or might need to add to the budget? Is there anything new? Did we have another flood? Did something come up? Something crazy that we weren't expecting? And so that can change throughout the next 5 years. If the planning, if like the EMD or the EMD and the select board is like, hey, we have this big thing coming up, you can alter that, and that's fine. And then if you see things on there that are just like, we're never gonna have funding for that doesn't exist anymore, or things like that, you can also scratch those off the list. So it is more of a living, breathing document than it used to be. They used to be very static, and this was this, and nobody ever looked at it again. So cheers to FEMA, that they've made that change. So where can you find the plan right now? So if you go to the bcrcvt.org website, this is our homepage. And right here is Arlington, and you can click on that and go to next. I don't make live slides, so we're gonna click through. This is the Arlington page. There's more information I cut off at the top, but you just want to scroll down. This is the 2019 plan, if you want to take a look at that. And then here is the 2020-25 draft. So you can click on that and pull up the whole document. I think it's like 133 pages. You have to read every piece of it. Let me just make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay.
It's 134.
134.
Yeah.
Because I did not double side it tonight, but I printed it before I left,
but-
so.
As I hit send earlier, I realized that
Oh,
the
you
page
started on
numbering was off. So before we submit to VM,
Where's
we'll
my
fix
red
the page
pen?
numbering. Yes,
Hold
get
on.
it, get it. So you don't need to public comment on the page numbers. I am
Circle that
aware
right
that they
away.
shifted. I don't know why they shifted, but we'll figure that out before it goes to DEM. Gary.
Which plan theoretically governs hazard mitigation for the town when this wasn't adopted yet? Is it
2019, well, that one's technically expired. So right now there is no plan in place. The town, so remember, these mitigation actions are like a wish list. They can still be utilizing those mitigation actions as well. If they need to fall back on, we have town support for this and we want funding for Y. Okay, so I think I said already, public comment is open till September 22nd. Please review it. You can send anything on to me. So if you want to hit next to me. Cynthia, thank you. Look at that, that's me. That's my email address. It's a whole lot of random letters it looks like. Trying to give that to people over the phone is unbelievable. And I don't know like the Z for whatever, so I'm like Z for doorknob, Z for zebra, it's a long process. So, but yes, please send any feedback that you have to myself. After it is closed, I will take it back to the planning team. We'll go over all the feedback that we've received, incorporate it as appropriate, and then we send it off to DEM. So once again, I just want to thank the planning team for the heart and soul they have put into this plan. The work that they have put into it will make this an excellent plan for the town to refer to for the next 5 years. And then you guys get to see me all over again.
Thank you for all your work.
For your work.
It's been a really fun project. We're not done yet, so you're not rid of me. And we'll be back for the select board adoption once we get to that point. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now I need to go home and my dog.
Yes.
You want my dog's out?
Yes, do you need me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now it brings us to 8.2, which is the Planning Commission presentation on Red Mountain Forest. And I have a note here as well, an enforcement item. Cynthia?
Joan and I just want to talk a bit about enforcement issues.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that first then.
You want to do that first?
Should we do enforcement first, do you think? You probably,
I think many of these people may be here for.
I think most of the people who are here this evening.
okay.
We're here.
Let's-
So, I'm Garrett. I've never met you before, Matt.
Pleased to meet you.
And Glenn as well. And I've been, the chair of, I've been the chair of the planning commission since August of 2024. I took over for, my friend Charles Moore when we had to resign. We had to have some family to resign. And so I ended up, finishing off, maybe it was 2023, actually. It was 2023. I don't even know when I got quit. So I was the person who sort of led us through the end of the bylaw revision. After hearing two of the people that sort of led the attempt or to have the town acquire the Red Mountain tract, which ultimately I guess got canned in 2022. After I had heard Peter Hildig-Smith and David Nakugoran speak for the Energy Committee earlier in the summer, I asked the Planning Commission whether they would like to have a presentation as well. And we did in July, after we all agreed that we would like when I invited them. Just to present about the issue, what they had presented to the Energy Committee was that at the beginning of next year, the land is going to go up for public sale. And I think from the perspective of the Planning Commission, we just sort of looked at to what extent the having a public forest and is mentioned in our town plan, and whether it should be something that we might want to reconsider as a town before that becomes impossible. I have a document that's been handed out was put together by Marianne Holmes with a couple of items added by myself, which just shows all the different areas of our present town plan that that support the acquisition of public land for recreation, for forest conservation, and for the protection of various physical features within the town. And you notice there are a couple we might have missed, but there are 23 different citations all through the town plan that I think support the idea of this land. I think, the biggest problem that we had in 2022, and I don't know the extent to which the Planning Commission was even, I don't remember us being talked to at all about this piece of property, or asked to maybe give in a general, idea of what we thought about it. And I realized that the people who ultimately decided this is select board. But because, part of what the Planning Commission is supposed to do is think about the future and think about what we'd like our town to look like. And because, I hear from a lot of people who are disappointed by the fact that one of the nice things about that land is from what I've heard, I've never been up there, is Flag Rock and these beautiful views that we have into our valley. And it seems to me those are pretty poor views, which are hard to find in Arlington, at least, from the top of my mountain at the end of Trout Run. It's very hard to get a really beautiful view. I definitely get the impression that it's not for everyone, meaning that you have to be in relatively decent physical shape, but not necessarily someone who hikes or does this all the time. The chief problem I know you guys had was access, and I think that access is still something that has to be worked on and actively if the town was to decide that this is something that they want to consider. I know there was quite a lot of funds from local residents who supported the plan, as well as the town. I had thought that the grant had come from the people that organized the idea, but the town itself had applied for funds. And do you remember what organization it was?
I don't.
But from
Oh, no, the organization, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that they were working with the Vermont Land Trust with the
Right,
Vermont Housing and Conservation Board. The
yep,
town did not apply for anything.
Okay.
It was the.
it was all through them,
It
okay,
was the group that was spearheading it.
right. And from what I've been told, that money is still there if it's reinitiated, but that's not gonna last much longer. And so I think partially what, I wanted to do, and I know Stephanie wanted to say a little bit too, was just to make you guys think about, this is a very small window, but in a lot of ways, this would be a very good thing for our town. And I know there are considerable amount of people who, are looking for, local accessible trails. As far as I can tell, because the land is under current use, there's also a small possibility that you may be able to do, some forest work that would actually probably benefit the town financially. That obviously has to be negotiated in whatever deed was worked out with the Vermont Land Conservation. And I know the state is not going to acquire it because they have the same issue, which is access. So I just wanted to encourage you, with the support of the Planning Commission, to possibly reconsider the idea. In this little limited moment before it will become perhaps closed off by someone who buys the entire property. Then I know you want to say something.
So my name is Stephanie Moffat-Hines, Chair of the Energy Committee, and a lot of Energy Committee members are here as well tonight. So as far as the Energy Committee is concerned, the select board will remember that one of the things we were asked to do is find ways to identify the efficiencies and inefficiencies in the town. And town-owned, town-owned vehicles, buildings, all that sort of thing. And then we put together something called the carbon tracking tool. And Joni, in a moment, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we put that together, we got a grant to do it, and it's a really wonderful tool in which we can look at all the data, every invoice that's come through since 2020. And it's all been put in there, and see how we're doing as far as, what we're spending our money on, and where are the areas for becoming more efficient. There were also there's also the mandate from the voters back in 2022 to reach the carbon net zero goal. And so we've been trying to figure out, well, what's the biggest area where we can, what's our biggest carbon footprint? What is our carbon footprint? What is the biggest contributor to that? And what are the possibilities for reducing that, since we need to reach that goal? Our diesel trucks by far emit the largest chunk of that. And it doesn't seem like that's something that we can change right away. Even though we do have wonderful electric buses now at the school, I don't see that we're going to be, I think that's a ways away. I would love it if, there were an angel that would come by and say, yes, we're going to give your town all these new trucks that are EVs, but that's not going to happen. And so when we heard about this property, we wanted to know, well, what is its potential for sequestering carbon? And so we invited the group in the initiative in to tell us about it. And there was we did submit this letter, which you got today. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but there is a gentleman who is from North Carolina State University, Dr. Lee Allen, who has a PhD in forestry, ecology, and management. And he walked the property and looked at it and analyzed it. And this is just a basic analysis. It's not a terribly in-depth one yet. I think someone could come back and do that. But he was certain of certain things. The makeup of the forest, mostly deciduous. There are many trees that are over 200 years old, which is quite something when you consider how many trees were taken down for many years. How much of the land was for sheep. And there's a fantastic array of species. And also I remember he was saying, and this is really good soil. He was saying, this is really good soil. It's a complex ecosystem, different types and ages of trees, soil types, exceptionally rich in organic matter. And then he talks about what this land's ability is to sequester carbon. I'm gonna turn things over to you, Joanna, to just talk about how this compares to, our emissions compared to the sequestration. And so she also has submitted some charts.
Yep.
And again, these are generated from that wonderful carbon tracking tool, so we can actually see what's happening down to, go ahead, Jenny.
So, just a little bit about the carbon tracking tool. So we look at a lot of different things. We look at, how many units, whether it's gallons or kilowatt hours or whatever, how much it cost us, and what the carbon emissions are. And then we look at, after any mitigation, what the net carbon is at the end of the year. So that is that in there for all the sources, every department in the town, every building, trucks, and there's a lot of information there. Earlier today, I sent Cynthia a copy of the tracking sheet, the spreadsheet. And I don't know that it's hard to look at because there's so much information there. But I want to let you know that, if you want me to run some reports for you to analyze that data, whether you want year over year, on units and cost or, something like that, or, how the emissions are fluctuating. I can give you pretty much anything you want to see by way of reporting, so you can see, where the money's going, where the problems are as far as, generating emissions. And why we're not going to hit net zero in 2027 if we don't do something pretty dramatic. Now, the charts, if you look at the first chart, you'll see that this is for the town as a whole, okay? So this is all the carbon emissions that we create.
So that's town operations,
Town operations.
not school operations.
Not school operations.
Town.
Nope, just town. And then this nice red one pointing down, that's the sequestration that we are offsetting this carbon with from our meager little 89 acre forest in the rec park, et cetera. And for 132 acres of that, we are getting 302,000 pounds of carbon sequestration. Now, add more forest onto that, especially this piece that we're talking about, and we were not going to have to worry about hitting net zero again. I don't think, not until we get to maybe 50,000 people in the town or something, so maybe not that much, but anyway, it would see us through a lot of growth in the town. We know the growth is going to come sooner or later. We're always going to have to be, upping that ante. So this gives us a lot of reserve. Now, just to point out one thing in particular, which, we always like to harp on, the old elephant in the room, the diesel trucks. Now, this is just from the roads and highways. This is the second page of the charts. So that's showing how much carbon the diesel trucks. And then this one over here, that shows how much sequestration. So the sequestration that we have right now already exceeds what those diesel trucks. I mean, that's how important having forest land that we can, call out to say, okay, we've invested in this forest land, as a town, and by conserving this forest and putting it to that kind of good, we have that to, satisfy that mitigation.
So while that is showing how well this does work, we're still in the hole.
Right.
We're still in the hole a good bit. And so, but by acquiring this new land, it just mathematically it makes sense. So for the energy committee, that's kind of what we're called upon to do. And we have all this data, and so this is what it tells us. So if we would really encourage you to open that back up again and consider acquiring the property again, and have that discussion. Is there anything that we've left out that, because this is kind of an overview, there's a lot more details, of course.
I was hoping that maybe Jenny could tell us the amount of, that we're in the hole in terms of tons or pounds of CO2.
Actually, it's at the bottom of the second page where I put like, some numbers down there. So you'll see, for 2022, 23, and 24, what our net CO2 footprint was. Less the current sequestration that we already talked about, 302,000 pounds. And then you'll see that for 2022, we were only short about 32,000 pounds, but in 23, it was almost 94,000. That's a lot. And then last year it was 86,000 pounds. So that's another thing that, we have to be prepared for, is that this isn't a static number. It depends on how much work is being done, how bad the winter was, how many hours the plows were on the road guzzling all that diesel fuel. And the furnaces in every town building, cold winter, we're going to be using them. So, and as we grow, those numbers are also going to go up. So that kind of speaks to what I was saying earlier, that, as we grow as a town, our energy consumption is going to go up. So we need a way to mitigate that.
Matt, can I just make a comment? So I haven't had a chance to review the material that you sent me, and I think this topic is worthy of a larger discussion. I mean, we appreciate your input on this particular Red Mountain forest topic, but I think we need to come back to this topic at another session, and so that we can really understand your measurement tool and the conclusions. And I do want to say that we do have an ongoing energy resilience investment project for both the town hall and the town garage, which should help with some of those emissions, but that's a separate thing. But just also in terms of the Red Mountain Forest, the issue really was the question of public access, because you can't say you're requiring it for public recreation and not have a place for people to park and a way for people to get access to it. And the route that people are using now is actually only a logging easement, and the landowners are tolerating it, but they would not give us a formal easement. There is an easement in another place that goes through somebody's yard, and that might be something that could be worked on. But the town was initially willing to explore this and supported this, but we cannot buy something for public ownership and without having proper access. So the people that support this project need to work on that.
Cynthia, that's an excellent point. In fact, when this first came up, my first comment was to the group, guys, this is a dead, because I sat in all those meetings, and there were a lot of people, and they were very concerned about that, and they made very good points. One thing actually turns out to have been false. There was a thing about it being bad for the water. And that turned out to the person who actually made that comment came back and wrote a letter of apology saying, no, I take that back. That was completely wrong. But the other thing is the access. And from what I understand, when we said, well, let's just learn about it anyway, because this is like, this kind of opportunity may never come again. I don't know a huge tract of land that's going to suddenly be possible like this, but that was the thing. Okay, what about access? And from what I understand, there are some new possibilities that they're looking at, things that I had never heard before in those meetings. And so that is another reason why I'd encourage you to keep, have that discussion, keep open to hearing about that, because that to me is the sticking point. Everything else kind of makes perfect sense, but how do you do it? Where are people going to park, and how do they access it in a way that people can say, okay, I can get behind that. That's great. So I know that they've found some new, there's some movement.
They will.
This initiation.
Well, I've been actually sort of between the energy committee and, David and Peter's group, I've been sort of going between them. to understand what the problems are, and there are easement, obviously problems, and I know that Peter Smith is working very, he's been working a lot, talking to people, hoping, and I think there are some opportunities for easements that then we could get access to the land, and that people are not as opposed to it in this area that, that they're working on now. But that's, one thing would be whether the town could actually help with that, because I don't know, I don't know, what is needed exactly. I just know that in the next few weeks, he said that he's been, he's gonna have more information, and that he's working, very closely with people and trying to, I just, it is a great opportunity. I mean, this is not something that just falls in your lap that often. It's right in the middle of our town, and it is actually a really beautiful property. And it could be for many years, something that this town would actually benefit from. And, my worry is that if a private owner buys it, we don't have that control, and that it is then lost. And it can even be lost to people who are currently using it, who live nearby, who just, take it for granted. It's, I know how it is where I live. All my neighbors, we allow each other to go through our properties. It's not, it's not necessarily formal, but you have access. And I just, it's a big property. It's a beautiful property. It's very historical. And it's really something that I think, unfortunately, we don't have time, we have this deadline, which is,
There's
the end of the year. So it's something critical. If, I know that I've talked to many people who are extremely motivated and, want to help with this and want to figure out how to help the town. Because I think it's actually, in Bennington County, we're only one of two towns. Sandgate is the other that, have a town forest. And in the state of Vermont, there's also a lot of,
We have,
well, we don't have public,
it's not
public,
It's not
public,
that,
public
it's
access.
not easily
Yeah.
accessible.
no.
There is access to it, but it's not.
But it's
easily
not,
accessible.
Yeah.
But not, you don't need to convince us,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
about the benefits. We were supportive of this project. But, if we talk about a short time frame and the work that the board has in front of it in terms of the budget and the getting ready for town meeting and all the things that go into that, I defer to the board, but it really behooves the people who are interested in this to come to me with information about who's interested in providing
So is that
access.
the next thing, then that group needs to?
That
come
would
to
be
you
my
as soon as
thought. I mean, I
possible.
defer to the
Yeah,
board.
bring that to Cynthia, our town administrator.
But it has to be
Yeah.
ready to go,
No.
because there's no bandwidth. I mean, you see
Right.
all the other things we have, there's no bandwidth.
Right.
And we've always said, if you bring us access,
Yep.
we'll go for it, because if we don't have access, we can't do it. We can't buy it and just say what's up there, but we have no legal access. That's just a mess.
If I could just, because I was kind of involved in the back, not in 2022, but in this most recent reincarnation of this particular project. From what I understand, the funding is still in place, but the people who are responsible for administering this funding and granting the funding were discouraged that the word that they got is that Arlington wasn't interested. They did not hear or read what Cynthia just said, that, the town is interested in it, subject to access. Now, the access component of it has a lot of different options, and there are easements that need to be secured and all that. I think the funding people, from what I understand, will wait if they get an indication from the select board that we're working on it. So I think, and I'm not going to speak, I should not speak on behalf of Peter Hildick-Smith and his organization, but I think what they are seeking from you guys by bringing this to you tonight is a formal indication that the select board would be interested in entertaining this acquisition into town ownership with funding from an alternate outside source, so that it doesn't cause significant financial burden on the town, subject to access being procured that is publicly acceptable.
And the interesting thing is that's also required by the grant. So it's sort of like a catch-22. They're not gonna give you the money to buy it unless the funding, I mean, the access is in place. And yet you guys want to approve the fund even to move forward unless the access is in place. So I just, as a resident of this community and someone who is extremely enthusiastic about owning this particular property and having this within our town as an incredibly valuable asset, if you could come up with some sort of a motion, say, subject to the grant, subject to satisfactory access, public access, that you would be in the affirmative, encouraging us to move forward with it. Whatever that subject to, you are in support of this particular project moving forward. Please. Please.
If I could just comment.
Yeah,
I understand the situation, and yet, the people who are apparently working on this are not here. We have no written proposal from them. We don't know what they're working on. I just don't see, I mean, the thing is, when we said no, it was gonna go to the state, and we supported the state doing it. We've never been opposed to this project. But the sticking point is the access. And I think that we would need a report that would give the board hope that there really are these new possibilities, and what are they? If they can't be discussed in public, we can, do something else. But we need something from the people who are working on this, who is not you, whoever, I don't know what group it is, if it's Hooper, I don't know, or Peter or David, whoever is working on this project needs to submit something in writing to the select board with a status update and a request for this, because I don't think that sort of a second party recommendation gives the board the kind of foundation for a motion that would have meaning. That would be my thought.
Well, and that
But I
was
always like things in writing.
my opinion that I'd like to see a proposal from that group, and so that we kind of fully understand, just as Cynthia said, like, where's the funding coming from? And we know that, and I think I was on the board, but that was towards the end of it. And then I think I was off the board by the time you made a decision the last time. I don't really remember exactly, but I vaguely remember some of this, and access was
Yeah, I looked at my
biggest-
memos. I have the
biggest
memos.
issue.
The access was the issue.
Yeah,
That was
and
the
so, in my opinion, I'd like to see a proposal. So then we have something, substantial that we can base a motion off of if we deem that that's appropriate.
I think
I
that.
don't know,
would be-
Glenn or Jamie.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I wouldn't move forward right now without more information.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And we also like to have Dan here with us as well, and he
Right.
couldn't make it this
Not
evening,
quite a full
so.
board.
In the meantime, you do have some preliminary, a lot of support with this idea from the Energy Committee, from the standpoint of this goal that we are mandated to reach. And this is, and then from the Planning Commission, all the ways in which it satisfies so many things in our town plan. Personally, I also think that if we do get to this point, it would be a little feather in Arlington's cap to maybe attract more families and people to stay here and come visit. But yes, without the access, it's not gonna happen. So, what about, how do I'm sure they will watch this, meeting, but, we'll, between us, we'll get back to them and say.
Make
get right on
sure
it and
that
see
they
if
have my contact
I
information.
can relay,
Yeah.
Alex can do that.
And
then.
have them reach out to
absolutely.
Cynthia, can help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we
Thank
can
you
have
so
a
much,
meeting.
because you all do have a ton on your plate.
No,
Yours
and
too.
thank you
And
for-
can I also say, I have to say this, when we talk about the diesel trucks, I find myself feeling like, we're so grateful to everybody who takes care of our roads and does all of this. It's not that, it's just where we are, that's where we are, we're all part of this, so I just have to say it for the record, so it doesn't seem like, oh, those damn diesel people or something. This is where we are, we're a community.
Yeah.
So thank you. very
No, I
much.
appreciate all the information that you put together for us. It was very
It's a
helpful.
lot to go through.
And it's a lot.
Yeah, Jody has just done an amazing job, I have to say. Thank you.
So I just wanted to say that what I learned when I finally saw a really good map of the 400 acres is that if you look at that little rectangle coming down the bottom, that hits the top of my property. And I am willing to have a trail put in from the top of my property to reach the rest of it.
That's something that you should talk to that committee of that.
Yes.
Exactly. And I've
Yes.
talked to Peter Hildick Smith about it. And the other piece is that a whole group of us a while back, when that whole lower piece was looked at in terms of being sold, people on Pickering Hill came to me, we all got together because we didn't want housing up there or anything, because that would begin affecting all of our wells, all of our kind of runoff and all of that kind of thing. So there's a larger group of people just right in that triangle little, I guess it's not a triangle, rectangle piece that do not want to have that piece of property developed. And so we're working together with them.
My understanding is most of that land is over 1,200 feet, so it's not developable. So there's about 10 acres below it.
It comes down.
Yeah,
It comes down,
I don't-
right, I
I don't
remember
know anything about the grades. I've been intending, I was out of town for a couple of days this week and I've been intending to go by and look with Joan. I don't know whether that is really developable or not. I haven't, but there is a piece of land that is potentially developable there.
I can tell you it plateaus and then it goes up.
I believe it.
I
We've
got,
been up
sa-
there.
I got
Yeah.
saplines on Marion's
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to go out with you sometime.
You probably know that property
I
better
do,
than
very
do.
well.
I do find sometimes it's easier, looking at something else to actually go out physically. I mean, the maps are great, but sometimes it's super
Yeah.
helpful to physically walk it and look a little bit, but. Okay, I remember a lot of that. Yeah, I think a proposal would be very helpful to move that forward and consider it.
Glenn, you in agreement?
Now, yeah, I'm back. Got two kids, you know. I am. I would like to see a proposal, but I'm more than interested to talk about this again as this moves forward.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation and the
I
information.
think you've got some size, I just noticed. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right.
So the other thing, was really Joan and myself, with support of the planning commission, as we've already talked about this. So when you're in Joan, ready? All right, so, Joan has given you a list here of what our current, Joan is about to.
Thank you. It's all right. I got a lot of paper tonight.
Yeah, there is, it's a paper collection evening. I
It
guess.
is. And we're moving on, just for the record, we're moving on to the enforcement conversation under 8.2.
So, one of the problems that we run into is, as far as enforcement goes, we're having an issue with a violation, and we really feel like, we could have dead end, and it just needs to go to environmental.
Yeah, for background, I mean, most of the last couple of years, Nick was telling us that there was no funding for any enforcement actions because everything needed to go through the town lawyer. At one point, one of the properties here, the first one listed, and I'm not gonna mention names, I'll just talk about properties, because you have it here in front of you. At one point, I think that first property there had something like $50,000 worth of town fines. And then we suddenly hit the moment where Nick said we can't do any findings until we can't put a lien or anything on a property until we've gone to the environmental court. And so this has been sitting there, these are a bunch of things that have been sitting there now for quite a bit of time. I think the third one down is Nick had told us that the person wanted to take down the building, but has no means to be able to do it. And as Nick had expressed it to the planning commission at the time, the town doesn't want to put funds into taking down a building, although I think there is a potential danger there. I don't think it's a burnable building where the fire department can do it because it's too close to power. I think you know that spot very well, Julie.
Yep, I do know that there's an asbestos concern there as well.
Yeah. And that's, the remediation
And
of that has to be done first.
First,
before-
right.
Huge.
And that's what's costly. I don't know of any state funds or anything that's there to help towns eliminate properties that are potentially dangerous to the public. But that third one down, which is 3136 Vermont Route 313, there's an issue there of public health. Really, I mean, if that burns, that becomes, an issue that spreads through the town. The first one, which is at 3383 Vermont Route 313, it does seem like they're still doing work on the property, even though they're not supposed to. And then the second one down, which is at 5226 River Road, the people built a pavilion. We're told by the planning commission that they didn't have the right, because they don't have the right to develop in the floodway. And this is a floodway piece of property. The floodway, as far as I can tell, I think has been off limits for development since, I believe, the 2017 iteration of the town bylaws. I may be getting the onset date wrong, but it wasn't the most recent bylaw revision.
And just to clarify, the floodway means actual moving water, not just inundation with
Yeah,
water
moving
coming up your
water.
steps. It's moving water.
This
So it's like,
is, we allow for limited, development within the special flood hazard, which they're now calling the flood fringe, and I'm sure going to change again because it seems to change a lot. But the floodway is basically the river's ability to take care of our floods. And in most cases, that works. We do have light flooding at different moments, but most of the time, our floodway actually is pretty powerful and pretty substantial. And I think after what we saw after Irene, there's more than a vested interest to make sure that we're not seeing all these things come down the river, hitting our bridges again. Anyway, we told that we had the person into the planning commission and told him that he didn't have the right to put it there. And we responded, it was based on an anonymous complaint, because there was building materials there and it was clear that they were doing something. And the person has gone ahead and at the time that we, meaning the planning commission, told them that they could not finish their project, they had not put a roof on the structure. A roof on the structure, based on my own dealings with the environmental court on the second issue, based on our bylaws, makes it a building. And that is absolutely not allowed in the floodway. They've gone ahead and put the roof that they had constructed onto the structure and are using. And for about a year now, they've been telling Joan, oh, we're trying to put wheels on the bottom of the concrete slab and move it into a place that you would help cycle. And it's never going to happen. It's too heavy. And so these, if we're going to have resolution on it, we just need to back up the actual words of the bylaw and the power of our town and of the planning commission to tell people that they don't have the right to do whatever they want in this case. And that needs to go to court. And it's the only way that it's going to get resolved, seemingly. And then you'll notice the last thing that I let Joan, there's much more knowledge about this. We have constant complaints about junkyards in town.
Mhm.
And, you've got aerial photos in that
Just
package.
was looking at those.
And, we haven't done anything about it. And I guess, I don't know if we're not putting enough money into the enforcement budget. I know that, laws, everything lawyerly is more expensive than anyone wants it to be. But, I don't know, I really encourage you maybe to consider that the only way we finish this is by actually taking people to court and making themselves out of it. The environmental court allows people to go up there and represent themselves. So it's not like automatically you're adding extra fees onto the people who have been brought into court, but that's their decision. Whether, no, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't say everything.
You did very well. Yeah, so, I mean, basically, I reported, all of these things and probably a few more. And nothing would happen, it would be, well, we don't have the money to pursue it. Okay, then you give them a ticket or something. I know at one time that I did, and that was just like last year, maybe earlier this year. So, but anyway, I mean, it's kind of silly to have bylaws and ordinances if we can't back them up.
Well, I think that, in my opinion, comes down to the same thing, similar to what we were facing with past due balances at the water department, right? And it's like, do people think, well, they just don't, I'm not gonna pay it because they're not gonna do anything about it, right? And so in that particular instance, right, we started to do something about it because it was a big number. And lo and behold, we, in a 4-week period, got some relatively decent action. I think, in my opinion, as a board member, it would be interesting for me to get these, and I know that we have well-documented factual information around all of these, to get them in front of legal counsel to see at least what their opinion is, and have counsel give us a high-level opinion.
Yeah, and I did just look at the town, report, and last year we had used up all the legal fees. I don't know what
yeah.
stage it was at. We haven't used it up yet. This year, we have a number of legal issues already in process. But what I would, propose to the board and you guys is that, because, this is new to me, I haven't done this. And I do meet with Nick periodically and get his advice and guidance about how to proceed. But that, we kind of try to start with, all of these, and just try to take some steps and maybe prioritize one or the other. In terms of like the junk ordinance, things would be easier to do because that we've done that before. We write a letter and we start the clock ticking, And so I could bring that back to the board at the next meeting for the junk thing. For the environmental court stuff, I don't even know, and we have to ask the lawyer. But I think, to me, the gazebo situation seems most urgent. I know the Barnes is ongoing, but I would think, so I would propose to the board that I really take a look at the next steps on that, consulting Joan and our lawyer and you, and we have another meeting in 2 weeks. And so I would try to come back with a progress report, or at least a status report for the board. Does that make sense?
That sounds good to me,
Absolutely.
Jamie.
That sounds good to me too.
Yep.
And, I thank you for this information, and
This is Joan.
again, like, Joan, sometimes, you drive around town and you see the roadside facing, right? But the aerial photo is very powerful on just the overall impact that this has in a number of ways to the municipality, so.
And especially on the Grover and Hill properties, the one that has the green.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was looking at, on this aerial photo that.
I mean, John Mendenhall has railed about these people for years, literally. He even got up at the town meeting and railed about them. He has class 2 wetlands right next door.
Well, and doesn't that run on the back?
And those
Runs
wetlands,
through down
they,
behind the food shelf.
they have part of
Yeah.
that wetland there too.
And there's a
So-
buffer that extends from the wetland that, you know.
Now, I have written to the state of Vermont about this, but I think we should be concerned about it too. I mean, not only that gooey pool, but abandoned cars that are possibly leaking fluids into the land. And if you flip to the last page in that. This one with the.
Yeah, I saw
TV,
that with the,
You see the jugs of old oil
yeah.
sitting there, they've been there literally for years. Now, how long does the plastic jugs last when they're not protected? I mean, that's just, you know.
Well, especially when they're filled with the petroleum,
It's-
if they're filled with a petroleum
it's
product, that
old.
makes
They
it.
used to do,
The ultraviolet light will.
yeah.
Degrade it down,
We've-
plus it's a
We've taken
petroleum product.
action on this property before,
Yeah,
and a certain amount of cleanup happens, and then it goes back. So this is one that I think would be pretty straightforward to move forward on, and I think that, just as Matt was referring to the water bills, it's very difficult to take firm action. You don't want to create problems for people, but at some point, the rest of us are abiding by the rules, and it's not acceptable, it's not
Yeah.
tolerable.
yeah.
And I mean, Mendenhall's property is like neat as a.
No, you don't have
You know,
to,
it's
we
just like-
totally get it.
We totally get it.
The fact that you've done this work to prepare everything for us is invaluable, and I will try to pick up the ball and move down the field.
I'll send a digital copy to you so you can forward it to them.
Yeah,
A lot of this is in the land use administrators report its own affairs every month. Just about every month, sometimes we end up with 2 months for whatever reason, but is always part of the planning commission's minutes, like I posted. And are there, and what you'll notice, you'll have much more of a history of follow-ups. If you look, for example, through the meeting minutes that came up in last week from our August meeting, you'll see how many times Joan has contacted people, sent emails about trying to take care of this. And you know, the town of Arlington, basically our enforcement comes down to complaints and Joan. And I don't think Joan is paid to drive around town looking for everything that's wrong. I encourage the members of the planning commission, especially when the leaves come down, to look around and see what's there. But we only respond to complaints as a town. I don't know if that's the best model. I think obviously you get into expense, which is a town concern, when it's not that. But, you know, I think from the planning commission's perspective, we get a little frustrated with the fact that we're seeing this now for a couple of years, with some of these properties.
well, these are glaring issues,
Yes.
right? So, yeah, I appreciate that. And I have no doubt that everything is very well documented, and I think that'll help our town administrator to help work on that. And I think, you know, a proposal or kind of track it down and then give us a memo on it next
Yeah.
meeting, a
But
little bit.
I do encourage you guys to consider whether enough money is being put aside for enforcement for the town's
The
lawyer.
good news is it's budget season.
I know, well, that's why.
So
that's
it's
why
very
the reason
appropriate
we're
to
thinking
come.
about that, because
Yeah.
I know everybody is concerned about not growing the budget. And there are good reasons for that. But I think if we're not fulfilling the need to crack down on this particular segment, that perhaps it should be looked at and you should consider whether a little more money should be appropriated so that we can sort of enforce these bylaw provisions. I know from Michael will probably agree with me, from the standpoint of being a planning commission member, I think would, you know, make us feel like, you know, you guys are concerned as we.
Well, and I think long-term, you know, there's the short-term cost in
Yep.
enforcement that can get settled long-term,
Yep.
right? It ends up getting settled long-term. It's
Yep.
just the short-term upfront. And I mean, we've seen that
Absolutely.
with some of our other municipal neighbors, you know, in the vicinity where they have had enforcement issues and spent significant amounts of money on those, but long-term, they will get settled and it'll become whole. It's just, we may have to front the inventory, if you will, a little
Of
bit
course,
before
Yeah.
we end up with that long-term. And, okay, I appreciate,
Sure.
this is super helpful. I really, appreciate the time and effort that you took to put into this.
And I also think on behalf of the board, I could be wrong, but I don't believe Nick ever reported to us about about the pavilion situation or some of these. I don't remember.
I don't ever
hearing
remember it.
about
I'm
Yeah.
short
So,
on
for
this.
whatever
I'm
reason,
thinking that maybe every once in a while
So it
she
didn't,
gives
it
us a
didn't
lot.
get through. So,
Yeah,
and I
Yep.
certainly hope I'm an honest conduit, but certainly coming to the meeting is a good thing to do periodically.
Coming to the meeting, or
Yeah.
even if you wanted to prepare a memo to the select board
Yep.
and, provide that just to Cynthia on a, 2-month basis or quarterly or whatever you would like to do, if that is easier,
Sure.
and just prepare a memo and submit that to
Okay.
Cynthia and she could get it in our
Yeah.
packet.
I was gonna note, we have a really good planning commission. I've been really happy that we also have people with kids.
That's
Because
nice.
when I first joined the planning commission, which is a long time ago, Michael has been on for much longer than I am, and Marion Holmes, who was here, has basically just been on for about 4 or 5 months now. We have a lot of people who are interested in and seem to have the same passion for this idea of planning. Don't ask me where I got it from, because I'm not sure. And we're pretty engaged, and we're there to contribute, and we like to contribute. And, personally, I'm always willing, if you would like me to sit on a meeting for an issue. We were, for example, reading about the issue at the Covered Bridge recently, when I was talking earlier today to Cynthia about that issue. We're always willing to help you with that. I mean, we know, I know the bylaw is pretty good at this point, I have to say.
Well, that's always helpful. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
times we're like, what is that? I have to look it up. I gotta try and chase it down. Yeah.
Yep, and it was one of the reasons why I sent you guys an email just about that particular issue. It's not what we're talking about this evening. And I think Cynthia can probably give you an idea of what we were talking about earlier today,
Sure.
about what type of permitting we actually have to get beyond what they're doing in the town. Because they should, in principle, be getting permitting from the town, a permit from the town for fence. And we're just, anytime, you're welcome to ask me if you'd like me to either just give you an opinion on what the bylaws say, right, what our town plan foresees, because that's the great imagining document of our town. And I know but I'm more than willing to help.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay,
And
that's it.
then just one other, on this topic, and not so much for the planning commission, but I know that, we've heard that the ZBA has had problems with having a quorum,
Yeah.
which we of course experienced ourselves tonight.
Yes.
And so the board had been thinking about, sort of reestablishing the fact that the select board members can serve as alternates for either body, and whether the board would wish to appoint me as an alternate for both bodies, which we believe Nick was. And
It
then I
definitely
could
was
just,
for the planning commission.
right, and so I could just attend all the meetings and be there if I was needed. So we don't necessarily have to do it tonight, but I just did want to raise it because
Good point.
the board thinks it's a serious issue. We want to be sure that those bodies can take care of their business expeditiously. The one thing I would say as a former select board member is if you think you're gonna call on any select board member, you need to remind them and be in touch. That's all.
And some notice. It's always helpful.
Yeah.
Cynthia, why don't you put,
the next
adding
agenda.
you to
Absolutely.
the alternate? I think that's something that should definitely be worn.
Okay.
So I'm an alternate for the planning commission, and I've also asked if I can be an alternate for the ZBA. Just because we've literally canceled 2 meetings where, people showed up, there was only one.
No, I get it.
No, we don't want that. We want to do
No.
everything we can.
So.
I don't know if there's any reason why you couldn't be. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I
So
mean, there may
More the
be
merrier,
planning
right?
commission members who might be
Make sure
willing
we're covered.
also to serve as alternate if necessary. for the ZBA, because I know the ZBA has been having more difficulty. And we probably poached two of their better members to the planning commission at this point. So I don't want to say anything, not to.
No,
to
but
their
it's,
engaged members.
it is a
I'd say.
challenge, and of course,
Yeah.
summer makes it more challenging,
Yep.
especially this time of year with
Yeah.
vacations and all of that kind of stuff. But I think, I do remember
Yeah.
that, Nick was an alternate, so I
Yeah.
think that would, I think we just,
Yeah,
because a town employee, I think it's
Yep.
best to warn that
Yep.
first.
and I think that, sorry, we've streamlined the bylaws so much that a lot of decisions can be made by Joan
Mhm.
and can be done expeditiously and kept, in mind the certain things that we really thought that should be overseen by the town as
Yes.
sort of those key points. And I think that what that does is that the ZBA doesn't have to meet as regularly as the planning commission does, because the planning commission has other things. And that may begin to make it difficult to maintain a quorum. And that's why having ample alternates, I think, does make sense.
Absolutely.
I just, I don't know if this is the right place for this or not, but, well, essentially, everybody on the energy committee, we realized recently that all of our terms are expiring. And we didn't even realize it. So I've got a document that shows when we were all appointed and when our terms were supposed to be.
Yeah, I
and all
think I
that.
found another one when I was looking at something else that I was looking this.
So, when you
evening.
talk about, I mean, we knock on wood, we've never lacked a quorum, and since 2019, it's every single month, sometimes twice a month. Okay, knock. But, I know you're not gonna do that tonight. What's the protocol? Cynthia,
If you could send it to me, if you want to give me paperwork, or if you want to scan it and send it to me, whatever you like, I can make copies if you have something that you need back. And then, we can put it on the agenda, for the next meeting, because we need to regularize that.
Okay, great. I wrote on this tonight, so I will make a
Okay.
copy and I'll
Okay.
send that to you.
Okay.
And,
Well, we do thank you for allowing us to come in and speak.
Absolutely. Thank you for all the
Yeah.
information this evening. It was super helpful. I do appreciate it.
All right, and I hope you get your meeting done soon.
Oh, we're
Absolutely.
good. And it's not too bad. It's
we're
fine.
going to address this. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I really glad about that. Thank you. October 2nd.
Okay, so now we'll move on. Cynthia, do you want to give us administrator's report and quick update
Sure.
on the repair project?
Sure, the repair projects that were planned are all done. As Louis said, the stalls are up. And, the work was done here. The window was installed in Kristen's office.
Oh, good.
They did a great job. And we will be paying the invoice tonight. There is, guys, guys, come on. So two things that came up that I wanted to have them deal with when they were here for an extra money were the threshold in the town clerk's office, and Susan's
Yes.
office. There's no proper threshold, and we have the cut pieces. And so we wanted him to install it. And then the front threshold, whether he would do anything about that one that we have closed off now.
All right. 'Cause
That's
yeah.
bowed up. So, he looked at both of them and he said that, the one in front was problematic and he'd have to think about it. But he also said that he couldn't put the pieces at the town clerk's office because now the regulations are for ADA, it has to be completely flat. You can't even have a little, it was gonna be one of those things where it goes up a little bit and then down, and he's like, you can't even have that. I would think he would know what he was talking about, but I don't know why Bosher or somebody didn't call us on it when they were here.
Well, this,
So I don't know about that.
we're not 80, it's half inch and we're not ADA. We're not fully ADA compliant anyway.
I know, but this would be adding something that's not, I don't know.
But
I'm just
there's
reporting.
a dollar value of total work to trigger having to become ADA
Okay.
compliant,
Okay.
right? So it's a percentage of your overall property, I'm gonna say your overall building value, right? If I remember correctly, I have to pull out my architect book, but adding that isn't,
De minimis.
Yeah, because it's not gonna trigger any of
Okay,
that, and
okay.
I do think you're right, it's half
Okay.
inch,
Because that's what we had to put the slab in at the school. So we had to
correct?
bring it up and then there's an aluminum threshold
Shooter,
above it.
yeah,
Which is half inch, which was the,
Okay,
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
they didn't really have time to do anything
That's
anyway.
okay.
But, and Rob, what Susan and Robert are most concerned about is, losing heat in the winter. And so we can put something there, you know, we can put a stripping or something to prevent the heat loss, but it doesn't look good. And the front threshold is definitely a problem. So we're gonna have to come back
It's
to
still
that.
an emergency exit.
it is still an
It
emergency
is still an
exit.
emergency.
So you
So
can't
you
have
can't
anything on
put
the
like
floor.
There
a
is a,
draft dodger in front of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you put something on there to stop like one of the little pads that goes in front of the door.
no,
keep
not
the-
that, just something that would be attached to the bottom. of
Oh,
the
just
door.
like a
Just
sweep, like a
yeah,
weather
the sweep,
strip,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, something.
That if it's affixed to the door, you just
it's affixed
can't
to the
put,
door.
Right.
That should be okay.
as long as it doesn't impede opening close.
So, you know, and we've got the whole energy efficiency project for the building. I mean, so some of those things could be addressed then, but I would like to do something about the heat loss sooner. So we don't have to go any further on that. The other thing is the alarm status. They came and they did work. They didn't complete the switch because they had software problems.
I
They're
saw
gonna go
that
back.
note
Okay,
from,
that's fine,
um,
good. Then in terms of my report, I think that I sent you the holiday thing, the holiday
oh, yeah, you
regulations
had that
apply
whole policy. Very
full-time
well.
hourly, workers. I do have information about the finance questions that you had about the town's accounts. And, you know, I don't want to take up a lot of my time, and I will send you what they are fully backed up with special arrangements, but I'll send you what Kristen sent me. And she has a proposal about possibly getting CDs to get some extra interest. So I would say we put that on the next
Absolutely.
agenda and I'll
That
send it
agenda's
to you.
getting big.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know, it is. We
It
have
is.
to
I'm
split it up
sorry.
over a couple,
sorry. And I think that's it. That's really, and then, and then what we'll do is if any more of these, I think we may have just gotten an email one of.
yeah, so
of
why don't
these.
we
So
just
we'll
get
put
those
this on the agenda
agenda
too.
and get those scanned into the board
Yes, yes.
for
Maybe two more
next.
coming.
What do we have to, do we need to sign?
We need to, there's all kinds of stuff
Sign
here.
those, this needs board signature.
And so, you both signed this, so Jamie or Dan or somebody will have to come in and sign, those and.
Glenn, can you stop in and sign stuff on the table tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be helpful.
I could be there probably right around noon.
Okay, because
wasn't
Dan's
another
gone
one.
for a few days.
Oh, he is, okay.
He texted me, those are Cynthia's hours that, I don't know, I signed
It's
them,
just
but I
one,
don't.
it's just one, it's
Are
just
those
one.
okay?
Yeah, that's
So,
just one.
good, I signed those then.
Yes,
All right.
That's
All set.
yeah.
I saw that, we've got the audit thing that's
Yep.
be here on a pile for you. Oh, I have this one too. Now, we're gonna go do warrants next. Sorry, this is getting very. And I'm just trying to figure so there's one here.
There's one, I think that one, maybe
This is
Janet
a
can chime in.
manual pay. Oh, this
Is
is
this the one that
for
we just
federal
sign
tax?
automatically?
Yes,
This is, I think this is.
this
the
is
tax-
just the US Treasury one that we
Yeah,
just signed.
We just sign and Glenn will have to sign that too, but we
Yep.
don't need a special warrant
No.
motion the way we do with these guys.
Right. Got it. That was that one. All right. Is there any other business to be brought before the board this evening?
The only thing I will say is that I'm still working with the lawyer about the Blue Block Road Class 4 issue. I don't have anything particular there, but I want
Oh,
the
right.
board to be aware that someone who is thinking about buying some land off Quarry Lane South, so not from the
Mhm.
north, but from the south. He has asked about whether he has a driveway access from the trail, because he's actually 100 yards up from the town turnaround. And there's a driveway there. I mean, there's a field access there. So Mark has confirmed you have a field access. And he's trying to find out about the people on High Pine Drive to access from that spot, because that's a road that goes off. but he may be asking the town to be able to use that class 4 highway and make it a private road, which we've heard before. And in this case, the road is there, but oh my goodness, it's very steep. It's not very far, but it's very, very steep, and to bring it up to the standards that we require would be very,
Very
very expensive. But he essentially wants to have well drilling equipment and cement mixers, I mean, so I don't know, one of the things that we want to find out from the lawyer is what is the ability of the select board to say, no. I just,
Yeah,
I don't know, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
If they want to put a house up there, they upgrade the road.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure has happened in a couple other locations.
That's what I was thinking, because that's
Mhm.
historically like.
but it isn't just upgrade, I mean, it's like,
No, I know,
Well, it's like
but that's what
putting it
people
in.
have done to build houses.
right, like on Holly Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have improved the road, the town trail, to use it as a driveway
Right.
access. off
I mean,
of
I
the-
just wonder if it would be better to work off of High Pine Drive, but anyway, I just wanted you to, the guy, he's just looking into the purchase, he has not purchased it, but I wanted the board to be aware of it, and I will pursue, about what are the towns?
Bless you.
Excuse me.
So, and I don't have anything for an executive session,
I don't
Mark
have
says he
anything.
might have a couple of things for another
I'm not.
time.
Zip it tonight, because I want to get home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Anniversary night, good
Yeah.
job.
yeah, I'll work on, I still haven't, I picked up a couple of things for the fire department this past week, and I'm gonna get to your computer and getting Nick's name off
I'm
of
not
this
in
and stuff. I
I'm not in
just,
any rush,
you can only do so
happy.
much,
No,
right?
I'm
So,
perfectly happy being there. It's
you're
fine.
doing a very good job, so
I
thank
have
you,
no hope.
Cynthia. All right, so, town administrator's report complete. Any other business? Hearing none. That moves us to warrants. So we have Water Department warrant WD 18. Seek a motion to approve check warrant report WD 18 in the amount of $24,189.89. This has the bill for the hydrology study on it, which is $18,111.20. And then Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it looks like we paid the like $18.70 for some curb stop work as well.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jamie, second by Glenn to approve check warrant report WD 18, $24,189.89. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. There you go. You'll have to sign that one too tomorrow, Glenn.
Yep, you got it.
All right, and that brings us to Town of Arlington warrants. Check warrant report number 17 in the purchase amount of $41,707.75. Blue Cross and Blue Shield, it's our big items. Looks like we bought some calcium chloride, I think it
Yep.
is there.
Yep.
Some diesel fuel, and we paid the electrician to do some light electrical work that needed to be taken care of, I know, at the town garage. Those were the big items. I'd seek a motion to approve check warrant report WD 17, $41,707.75.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jamie, second by Glenn. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, no executive session this evening, so I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yeah, go right ahead.
You did decide to order the winter sand from,
Peckham.
Peckham.
Yeah.
I.
Oh, you were out for
I was
that. We
doing-
made
I
it.
just needed to confirm it,
Yep,
so I
yep.
can proceed with that. Thank you.
Yep, we're all good there.
That's all.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Jamie, second by Glenn. We are adjourned.
Happy anniversary,
Thank
James.
you, Janet. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Janet.
Thank you, Janet. Have a good night, guys.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
I hope you're great.
Thank you, Cynthia, for all your work.
Yes, thank you.
You can come in and sign all of these little items tomorrow.
Recording stopped.
So the other thing is, like, cause I was looking, like,